Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Ernie C, the Gap Tooth Genius, back with another coaching edition of the Keep Grinding the Podcast, episode 182. And I'm joined by my boy Erik Ramos. He's the head coach of women's basketball at Santa Maria High School, the Saints. This is I want Eric. What's up, my guy? How you doing, bro?
How's it going, man? I really appreciate you having me on. This is my first time being on a podcast, and something I've always wanted to do.
Oh yeah.
No better way than to start off with you. So I appreciate it.
Awesome, bro. Hey, man, I'm honored. I remember when we first met, like maybe 2, 3 years ago at the Arbor tournament,
Yeah.
just networking. I'm like, you know what? It kind of sparked the seed, believe it or not, bro. Like, I want to start getting coaches on the pod. 'Cause I had a whole different, I had a podcast, but with a different name, you know?
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
now we'll keep grinding the podcast. This is the perfect time, especially during basketball season. It's about to
Oh
pick
yeah.
to have you guys on. And let me just give your resume, man. This is going to be your
Sure.
seventh year as a head varsity coach at Santa Maria High School. This is going to be your eighth year overall. You said you coached Frost off your first year.
Mm-hmm.
You coached on the AAU circuit for a few years all over the country. And man,
Mm-hmm.
well, one thing we really had in common was our age. You were 20 years old when you got hired as the varsity coach there at Santa
Yeah.
Maria. You were 11, 18 last year and 46 and 43 the last 3 years. And you opened your
Mm-hmm.
season up on the 19th in about 8 days against Carpinteria. Uh,
Carpinteria. Yeah.
Carpinteria. Where is
Mm-hmm.
that at, bro?
That's actually about 15 minutes from Santa Barbara, a
Oh,
small little town. Yeah.
I've
It's
never heard
yeah.
of that before. That's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool, bro. But man, thank you for coming on, man. I'm glad it's your first pod, and let's get right to it, Coach. How's it feel
Sure.
to have your seventh season coming up in about 8 days?
Oh man, it's very exciting. To be honest, like, last season was tough. It was not what I expected. We didn't get to accomplish, what we usually set out to do. And it just left like a bad taste in my mouth, and um, I know our returners feel the same way. And I've been waiting, like, we had a really good summer. The girls this year have really bonded and just created that team cohesiveness that you need. And like I've been waiting since our season ended last year in round one, and um I try to I tell my girls, like, I feel like I say this every year, but it's true. Like, every year you just get ready for the next one and you just feel that excitement. I feel like every year the excitement grows. Even last year when we had, our rough season, I was excited for it. And, we actually started off pretty strong. I think we were 7-3. We were
Hmm.
playing good basketball. But, as things happen. And it's part of the game and it's part of, just sports. And there's a lot of stuff that happened with injury, not just injuries, but just a collective thing. And sometimes, you try your best, to try to overcome all those challenges and adversity. And I tell my coaches and my returners, I feel like we squeezed the lemon as much as we could last
Yeah,
year, and we
definitely.
just didn't get the job done at the end of the day, And but this year, like, I have a good feeling about this year. Girls have been working really hard. The practices are starting to pick up, and like, I'm super excited, man. Like I'm really excited for this season. This group just feels, you know just a little different, and kind of remind me of the team that we had the year we went to the semifinals. That year I actually met you.
That
Um,
was your 19 and 10 year.
no, that was my 16, and we actually went 16 and 14, I think, or
14?
15 and
Okay,
13.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but what's funny is that year we actually got moved up to on the Central Coast we have three different leagues. You got your Mountain, Sunset, and then Ocean. They're
Hmm.
levels to them. And
Hmm.
usually the top teams are the Mountain, then you got the Sunset in the middle, and then you got the Ocean. And we got moved up to the Sunset for the first time. And we struggled in league. Like, I think we went 1-9 that year, but we actually like had a lot of close games against some really, Division two, even some Division one teams
Definitely.
in that league. And I think that really helped us make that playoff run because, the teams that we played in Division four weren't necessarily as, loaded and
Hmm.
talented as what we saw in league. So
Yeah.
yeah, the year I met you, that was and the year we played each other because we matched up in the Urban tournament.
Yeah.
That team remind like what I have this year kind of reminds me a little bit in a way. Just that mentality, they have that they just have that dog mentality this year, and I'm super excited, man.
Definitely, bro. No, that's just controlling the controllables is like probably the biggest thing I think of just coaching. And people don't really understand that there's so many things that we can't control that we wish
Yeah.
we could. And just being a young coach, bro, I think we hit it off just because we were both just young guys just trying to
Yeah.
figure this out. And how does it feel now? Like, what would you say the biggest lesson from last year to this year is gonna be? Like I know you said, just kind of you squeeze the lemon out of that juice,
Yeah,
juice
yeah.
out of that lemon. But what do you think is the biggest lesson you learned? So this as a young coach, man, this you're 27 now, 28. Every year is gonna be oh man, I wish I would have knew that. So what would be the biggest
Yeah.
take from last year that you're gonna take it to this year?
It's honestly like it's that's an easy one. It's just stick to what you've been doing. Um, we have high standards, and that's one of the things that I wanted to create, that culture
Hmm.
in our program. And as a coach, like I'm always try to hold myself accountable as well. And
Definitely.
I feel like last year we went away from some stuff that we usually, do, and not just talking about X's and O's, just the way, you hold girls accountable. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And honestly, last year was just a very tough year in general in my life. Like I was going through a lot. I was finishing up school. I was teaching for the first time, like a full-on teacher. And I just feel like, part of it was like I just wish I would have had more of a handle, and I kind of let it, like I've had such a good handle for the last 4 years before last year because we had four straight winning seasons, and we just kind of lost it. And the biggest thing I've learned, like I said, is just always, stick to what you've been doing, hold the same standards that you've held every year, never change up. And last year, like I said, I'll admit it, we didn't we tried, at times, but like at times we just didn't, and that's on me, and
Sure.
and I'll own that, but this year, like, since the minute spring ball started last year, like we've gone back to that, and that's why I think this year is going to be a very good one for us.
What's the biggest challenge you think as a young coach, man? Like I said, it's not easy because we see so many of our associates that we network with. I just had Mario Pena on a couple of days
Yeah, I
ago.
saw that one.
That
Mario's
dude,
a great guy, man.
just
I love him.
yeah, and again, his tournament. That's how we met. It's such a great networking.
Hmm.
You know, just great networking just floor for us coaches. It's would you say now? Like I was going back to it. Mario's been doing it 500 varsity games, dude. That's a
Yeah,
lot of years,
insane.
and that's
Yeah.
such a like. We're so young compared to the people around us who we look up to. What's been the biggest challenge for you as a head coach, and especially just a young man in a woman's game, you know?
Yeah, yeah. No, I think, for me, when I started off, and I don't know if you face this, but like when I started off, I knew being a young head coach, people were gonna look at you and think, this guy can't do it, or he's not capable of it. He doesn't know what he's doing. And I think one of the things that I learned kind of coaching that AAU circuit early on was that, as long as you surround yourself with the people that matter, and you don't listen to the critics that you don't, sometimes I don't even know, like,
Mhm.
I was able to tune that out early. Like, like my first year, like I remember telling myself, if I buy into what these critics, because there's always going to be critics,
Always,
to
bro.
this day,
Yeah, for sure.
um, if I
Always.
listen to every single thing these critics that don't even know me, on a personal level are saying about me, I'm never going to last in this, profession.
Hmm.
And I told myself, like, look, I'm going to give it 110%. I don't know it all. I'm still learning to this day, and I'll never stop learning. That's my mindset, as a coach. And, I just remember telling myself, like, tune out all the critics, keep your people that, believe in you and that are, you're close to you, that support you close by. And, I think that was, at first it was a challenge because, my first year, I was so caught up with like, we're gonna turn this program around, because before I took over, like the Max Preps, and I can't look back because the Max Preps era I think started in '04 to '05.
Yeah, for sure.
So there was no winning season at Santa Maria High School for girls basketball in the Max Preps era. So,
Mhm.
I came in as a first year coach, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna turn this around year one. Like, gonna have our first winning record in like
Yeah.
20 years,
Yeah.
and we didn't. I think we went 7-15 my first
Mhm.
year, and I just remember kind of feeling disappointed halfway through the year, like I really thought I was, gonna be able to turn this around. And
Mhm.
I just remember just talking to, my colleagues and, my girlfriend and my family and them just saying like, you can't do it all in one year. It takes time. And I think that was hard for me to understand like the very first year. It's like, you want to show that you belong, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And then the pandemic hit
Oh
after
yeah.
my first year. So that
Mhm.
kind of like, because I was ready to start year two, like let's bounce back, let's keep building. And then the pandemic hit, so that kind of. But you know what? The pandemic actually allowed me to kind of step back, watch film from my first year, and just kind of see what I was doing, and just revisit a lot of things. And I think that really helped me just grow as a coach.
Definitely, bro.
Um, and then the next year, we had our winning season. Yeah, I think we went 8-6. That was a short season. I don't know if you remember
Yeah,
coming
only
back
yeah,
from COVID.
and that was
It,
like during March was the season two, bro.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
it
a
was
little
so
bit
weird.
later.
Like,
Yeah, it was a little bit
yeah,
later. Yeah, no,
yeah.
yeah.
But I was glad to be out there. But yeah, no, I mean that was the biggest challenge I think is just not understanding that it's a process and that just you're not gonna get it all done in one year. And I'm glad my patience paid off because I think I've built a culture
Mhm.
and a program that is competitive every year,
Mhm.
and yeah.
It is pressure though, bro. I was under the same I think same circumstances different. I know they had winning seasons before my time at the Hill, but just those last
Uh-huh.
four were so rough when you see just single digit wins and
Yeah,
winless
yeah.
seasons and it's pressure, bro. I'll never forget.
Hmm.
Like I feel like when in my position, I valued so I wanted to change it in one year. I wanted to
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
of course, we all want to win a Valley title, but
yeah,
did I
yeah.
aim for that? Of course I did, but did I? I felt like we could win it. I knew I had a small window to win with the
Uh-huh.
current group.
Yeah,
Dude, the pressure it's people don't understand the pressure to win, bro, when you want to show that you belong. And that's always
yeah.
been like, I guess
Hmm.
I don't really say it a lot, but that's always been like my struggles to show that I belong. I didn't play
Yeah,
basketball.
yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't come up in the rankings.
yeah, yeah,
I didn't go
yeah.
to, I didn't do AAU circuits. I
Uh-huh.
didn't, ball wasn't
Yeah,
life for a long time for me,
yeah,
Just, I
yeah.
kind of got lucky and just found
Hmm.
this hobby that I loved. And I just said, I was on the bench for 5 years under, with boys varsity for 5 years
Uh-huh.
at Foothill before that. And
Yeah,
you know how it is getting hired, once you get hired at the district and you try to pursue this educational career,
yeah,
like you got to
yeah.
prove your value. And it's like, I wanted to prove so bad.
Uh-huh.
I think I still want to prove so bad that
Yeah,
I belong and I could be of value. So I
yeah,
feel like,
yeah.
especially for us young guys, it's like, damn, we want to, young women or men, like we want to show we belong in this world of giants, bro.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
like I'm over here, coach. In my first year too, I think our league, our league's a little bit different here in Bakersfield. But in my
Uh-huh.
league, I had Pena, had Kurt Wilson, I
Yeah,
had
all the veterans.
Steven Aguilar. Like I
Yeah,
had some guys who have been doing this for years, and I felt
yeah,
so unworthy when we got
yeah.
when we got the first couple wins against some of these guys. It's like, damn, but that's the kids. I think that's just like you said, changing the program, getting them to buy into your program.
Hmm. Hmm.
What do you think was the key to your culture that you've have been sustaining for the last 7 years? What's the key to that? What's your standard in your culture, Ramos?
Well, to be honest, like I'll tell you a quick story. So when I did the freshman team, so I showed up. I was actually supposed to be an assistant on varsity that year as well, because I came in, I was going to coach the freshman team, and I said, hey, I would love to be an assistant and just help out.
Mhm.
And when I came in, I showed up for a spring practice because we didn't have freshmen yet. We get them, in the summer usually. But I showed up for a spring practice. I think it was in May, like start of May, and there was four girls in the gym. And I told the old varsity coach at the time, I said, "Hey, where's everyone at?" And he's like, "This is all we got." And I was like, "Really?" I was just, I was caught off guard a little bit. We just having four girls there. And I just remember thinking like it's hard to build a program when you don't have girls that are interested.
Definitely.
And so when I took over, I wanted to create a program where it wasn't just about basketball. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
it's something that, and every coach will tell you this is you want girls to have fun. You want them to learn things they could carry on in life, obviously. But the biggest thing is if a player is coming to practice and they're not having fun and they don't want to be there, then it's not really like something that you could build off of, you know? So I think you know, my first thing once I figured out that you can't get it all done in 1 year, the wins, you know, as far as those come, I really wanted to create a culture where girls wanted to be a part of this.
Yes.
And you know, this year we had like 50 girls at tryouts between all levels, and that was the most we've ever had. And
Oh
it just
yeah.
made me so happy to see, you know, just the numbers from when I first started to what we have now.
Mm.
And you know, our program, we create a family like environment. We include the JV, we include the freshmen.
Definitely.
It's not just, you know, I try to be at as much lower level games as possible and support them. If I have the time to be there, I'm gonna be there on the bench, and I'm gonna, you know, be another assistant coach
Yeah.
helping out. We don't do things separately, you know, it's not varsity,
Mm.
JV, and you know, we do it all together. And I think that's been a big key for the, you know, just the success I've had with building the culture. And then it's the best thing in the world when you have like a varsity player cheering on, because we'll have varsity players, and you've probably seen this, go to lower level games, or before they play, you know, they're cheering on the lower
Sure.
levels. And then it's vice versa, it carries over. Then you have the lower levels, you know, during the varsity game being
Definitely.
the biggest cheerleaders, that, and you need that, you know, like that makes a difference. It really does, you know.
Bro, these
Um,
girls, those lower level kids, man, they think that they varsity's like they're the dogs.
they look up to
They,
them like,
they look up to them,
yeah,
100%. They look
yeah,
up to their big sisters, bro. And
yeah, hmm,
yeah, no, I
yeah,
think we used to make it mandatory because
uh-huh,
we're all going to war together.
yep.
Different levels of
They,
this thing, you know?
yeah. So I wanted to ask you something. How does it feel to coach in, you know, at Selland Arena? Because that's a big goal of mine. You know, we were very close, obviously, but like you know, the year I met you again, I think that's the year
Mhm.
you guys won it. Did
Yeah.
you feel a lot of pressure going into that game, or did, you know, like, you have butterflies in your stomach, or like what were you feeling, man?
Man, bro, so I'm really lucky, man, because I've been there a few times before as an
Right.
assistant. So I kind of knew what we were going
Uh-huh.
to step into as the environment, you know. But then again, when you're now
Hmm.
you're the head coach,
Yeah.
bro,
Yeah.
I felt very confident, but because I wanted my girls to see that I was confident,
Uh-huh.
you know. But
Yeah,
man,
true. Uh-huh.
the spot, you know, I love the spotlight, man. I ain't gonna lie, like I love the pressure. Pressure. My guy
Hmm.
Garrett Brown told me one day, pressure's the
Yeah.
purpose, bro. And you
Uh-huh. I
kind of,
love that quote.
I think you really feel it after the game. It's like, man, you can't. It's like an out of body experience. Like, damn, I can't believe you did this.
Yeah.
I was more excited
Yeah.
because, and well, at least in my shoes, like, yo, this is the East Side program, and everybody said we went through
Uh-huh.
so much shit to get to where we were at
Uh-huh.
on and off the court, and this was to be
Yeah.
validated. Like, it wasn't just for me to be validated because we grown
Uh-huh.
man, bro. We'll be all right. But
Yeah. Yeah.
for my
Yeah.
girls to be validated and the program to be validated, like this is what we had to do to get here, and we proved everybody wrong. So I was just
Hmm.
excited to do that. I wasn't nervous, because you know
Hmm.
what too, I wasn't nervous because my staff, love with all my heart, bro, and we prepared
Yeah.
for this, and
Yeah.
we felt like we should have been there the year before.
Uh-huh.
And you know, winners, I've always felt like winners win, and the pressure is never too big.
Uh-huh.
I was more nervous for our first round state when we lost.
Oh yeah.
That
Uh-huh.
broke my heart because I know
Uh-huh.
if I did a better job at keeping us together and better job with film, and
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I think we could have made a run. But I kind of
Yeah.
just said, you know, we were just happy with Valley.
Yeah. Like
Instead,
you won the valley, and now you're, you
it's a
know,
real, you know, and the girls did, and know what the girls said? The girls thought, oh, Valley, it's done, we're out. Like,
uh-huh.
we still
Yeah.
got to go state now. Like,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
would have been, you know, if you know how it is. If we get to the game, you qualify
Hmm.
automatically
Yeah,
for the
automatically.
playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's fun though, bro. Another reason why I feel so blessed because so many people have worked their whole lives for that.
To
And
get there, yeah.
I've been able to be I've been there a few times and so blessed, bro. And
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
but I know I was excited, man. But there's no other feeling like it.
Uh-huh.
You get to see you know, you get the spotlight on you. They turn on
Yeah.
those lights. You
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
walkout music.
Uh-huh.
But then and honestly, man, once that ball goes in the air and the game starts, it's just another game.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
it was fun though, man. And just it was. hopefully it's not a once in a lifetime thing. I would
Yeah,
love,
yeah.
hopefully one day if I'm blessed to coach again and
Yeah,
at
yeah.
least at the high school level, I would be able to
Uh-huh.
go back. But no, I hope you get that, Ramos. I think we share the passion of this game, and that's kind of why I'm glad we kept in touch, man. I'm glad we could do stuff like this, bro. And
Yeah, no, it's like I said, man, when I first met you, like you came in and introduced yourself, I could tell you were a down to earth guy that, I just seen that passion in your eyes and I'm so glad we connected like since then, I've just been keeping up with everything that you've been doing.
same here,
And
bro.
congratulations on your degree that you just recently got as well. Like,
Bro,
another thing too is like when I started coaching so young because I love the game of basketball, and I kind of put school to the side and I was just like, I'm just gonna
oh
coach, and
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and I just finally like realized, like, hey, I need to do something too. Like, I need to go back to school. I need to chase that degree. And
Yeah,
it took me
bro.
longer, and I'm glad I, dug away little by little because I was taking classes part time
Same
after
here, bro.
danger, the grind, doing homework on the weekend and it pays off. And I'm happy to see you, get yours.
Yeah, I
And
see you had, and you got, yeah, I seen you purchased a new home recently too, right?
yeah, yeah, I'm here in my gaming room, so I never
Awesome,
had a
bro.
room. I never had a room. We grew up, struggling,
Yeah,
and I'm really happy to see my parents be proud of what me and my girlfriend were able to accomplish. Me and my girlfriend, we've been dating since high school, 12
awesome,
years.
bro.
So like we're high school sweethearts, and we've done everything together, and we always talked about accomplishing something like this and we just got blessed, to be honest. And without her, like, I don't know what I'd do, man. Like,
How,
yeah.
how does she feel about this crazy world of coaching?
Oh, like and she was actually leading the cheer program at Santa Maria High School
Okay,
for about
good.
7 or 8 years.
That's
And
awesome.
she stepped down, I think like 2 years ago, finally, just to focus on, finishing the school. But she's been with me, traveling and everything, and it's a grind, you know what I mean? And
It's a
she
big problem.
understands, and she takes our picture, she has a nice camera, she's pretty solid photographer, always editing and stuff. You know how it is
Yeah,
with your
for sure.
media. And yeah, she just been with me. The girls in the program, like she's another coach. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure,
And
bro.
she's just always there on our bench and just supporting. And it's a balance, like we said at the beginning. Like you want to, sometimes you get carried away and you think it's you got to devote 110% to just this. But honestly, in life and everything, like you got to be able to balance it. You as much as you want to put your effort in everything, whether that's work, whether that's coaching, life is a balance and you gotta figure it out. And we figured that out, over time. So we're very lucky.
I
Yeah.
wish I knew that I was only the head coach for 2 years at Foote, and
Uh-huh.
like I'm still involved heavy in that program, but
Yeah.
I wish those first 2 years I would have known that there was a freaking balance, bro. I had
Yeah.
like and this as a young head coach too. I know your first couple years you probably didn't know what you didn't know until you found out. I had no
Hmm.
idea, bro, because I had to. The biggest thing, I think, the biggest blessing for me was to step back that third year and still be like the GM
Yeah, yeah,
and see
yeah.
that no, bro, you didn't have to. We didn't have to go that hard.
Yeah, yeah.
We would have got the same results, maybe even more, because we didn't.
Uh-huh.
We weren't burning the kids out, burning
Yeah,
staff
yep.
out, burning
Hmm.
myself out. You
Hmm.
know, and then like last year, I took over 2 weeks just because our head coach had some family stuff he had to take care of. I thought I was out, and then here I come for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, you
So,
came in.
but that was a blessing too, because a lot of
Uh-huh.
people who just say I'm done get to come back and scratch the itch.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's all the itch I wanted to scratch.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Yep.
and just getting married. Like, I remember I was getting married like the week before, bro. I was like, hell, I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
explain this to my wife
Yeah.
today. Like, I thought we were
Yeah.
done, and just because
Uh-huh.
it takes so much time, bro. And
It does.
we're
Yeah.
young, and
Hmm.
we know we're never gonna be this young again. I want to spend
Yep.
every single second. I'm sure like you do, buying the
Yeah.
house,
Yeah.
building our foundation,
Hmm.
and but no, bro. And now I'm back in it
Hmm.
again. It's like
Yeah.
the
Yeah. You
game is
just
the game's a beautiful thing, bro. But it's like gravity; it just keeps pulling
mhm.
back down, man.
Yeah.
I love it, man. It's
Yeah, I started so the reason that I really got into coaching, women's basketball is my little sister.
okay.
She, I always wanted to coach and when I graduated high school, I actually did 1 year assistant freshman boys coach under my, head coach at Santa Maria High because I
Hmm.
attended school there. And I remember I was like, I'm gonna try to get a junior high, like one of the local middle schools, like, try to get a head coaching job there, coaching boys, of course. And my little sister, I think, was a sixth grader at the time, and she was, just starting to kind of play basketball. She had played for maybe a year, 2 years, and she asked me to coach a rec team and her rec team, like, and at first I was like, I don't really, like, but it's my little sister. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll coach you one time, like, 1 year, that's it, just. And once I started coaching her, like, I just kind of, I really, she really got into it. She really started loving the game, and it just kind of kept me around all the way through high school. And I was very fortunate that it worked out that I was able to coach her, through high school. And she had a tremendous career at Santa Maria High School, and she wasn't, given anything. She didn't play varsity till I want to say her junior. Well, she played a little bit sophomore year because of the pandemic. We had one team,
Yeah, for sure.
but she came in like when she really started getting minutes and playing was her junior year. She had to work. She played on the freshman team, played a
Mhm.
little bit of JV. But by her senior year, man, like she I think was like top five in or top three maybe in 3 pointers made that year in the central section. I think she made like 85 or something.
Mhm.
But she had a great senior year, and it really broke my heart, to lose in the first round that year because that's the year we went 19 and 10.
10? Yeah, for sure.
It just worked out the way that, like
The
I know
schedule is
there's
always a little weird in playoff time, dog.
well, like, you're never gonna find a perfect system. I see it online. I stay out of the discourse. Like I don't put my 2 cents, but I know what I'm thinking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm not a like I don't know, just the way they do stuff in the, like with the seating, and I know teams go up, teams go down. We have
Yes.
gotten just the unfortunate side of having to play a team that moves down from, we were, I think, base four that or base five every year, and we've only played base five 1 year. We've always go up, and
Oh,
usually
yeah.
we get stuck playing a team that's coming down from
Down.
three, so it's just, like it's
No, bro,
just
that's the way that, and I've never been able to figure that out either.
yeah, yeah.
It's crazy.
It's so yeah, so that's what happened. I think we played Hoover that year in the first round, and they were really well coached, and they played tough, and it was a back and forth game. I think we were up at halftime, but they ended up running away with it in the fourth quarter. But just when her career ended, I thought I was gonna be done. I'm like, but I couldn't. I love this. And you build the program, and you're just like, I can't walk away from this. Because that's
So
what everyone thought too. They're like, oh,
hardest
once
thing, bro.
yeah. So I just honestly, I don't say like, oh, this is my last year, or I just you love this, you're gonna stick in this as long as you can, to be honest. Like it's not a like, oh, I got one more year left in me. I don't know. I could have five, I could have 10, 50, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
if I could do it forever, I would love to do it forever,
And then I didn't know you're an alumnus of Santa
Yeah,
Maria, right? That's the
yeah.
same thing with foothill, bro. Like there's
Uh-huh.
nothing like being home. That's
Yep.
why I don't want to go anywhere else.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to be here
It's
with the
it's it's
kids.
here, it's personal. Like it's like, if you're able to, we haven't won CIF since 1975.
Mm.
So, just if we're able to accomplish that, like, it'll be one of the greatest moments of my life, to be honest,
And like
and
your question earlier too, I should have said that when you were asking about San Arena. It was personal because these kids are foothill kids, and we were just doubted all year, bro. It was.
hmm
I won't think. I think if it was a different situation, yeah, I would have been nervous. But no, we
yeah.
had something to prove, bro. We
Oh
wanted to make
yeah,
a
yeah.
statement. This
Uh-huh.
put this was our last chance to do it as a group, and everybody
Uh-huh.
doubted that group.
Yeah, and they did
And
it. Yeah.
it's no, like I said, when when it's your alumni, bro. It's
Yeah.
such a, but
Yeah.
it's so much more fulfilling. It's worth it. It's like
Uh-huh.
we are them,
Yeah. Yep.
and
I know, man. I totally get you, man. Like it's
how
personal.
how has the playoff experience made you into a better coach? I learned a lot about myself my first year when we got eliminated in that second round. So many things, film wise, adjustments wise, calling the simple timeouts. We got bounced out by Matilda Torres my first year in the second round.
Uh-huh.
We were up by 7 at the half, and
Uh-huh.
I made a lot of, if I could go back today, I wouldn't make those mistakes, but you don't know what you don't know in playoff basketball.
Yeah, yeah,
How are
dude.
those? How has those games, helped you become a better coach?
Well, we didn't win our first playoff game till the year we made our run.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember like I told you, the luck of the draw, like no excuses, we didn't get it done. I'm not saying we shouldn't have been playing. Like we didn't, just losing those playoff games really gave me kind of like a reality check, like for myself. Like I looked in the mirror and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like, because I feel like we have the talent to make a run, the first 3 years that we were in playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just coming up short in the first round, and I just remember like thinking like, okay, I'm not watching enough film. I'm kind of watching like 10, 15 minutes of this first round opponent, and
Mm-hmm.
that's it. I'm pinpointing, okay, this is the player that we got a key on. We're looking at the stats on Max Preps, but I really didn't like dissect and like break down the entirety of a game until that year that because I was tired of not winning a playoff game,
Yeah, man, sure.
and
Sure.
it was so poetic, man, because our rival, like Santa Maria High School's rival, like you guys have rivalries, I'm sure, is Pioneer Valley. They're our crosstown rival,
Mm-hmm.
and that was my very first varsity game I coached. It was against them, and
Mm-hmm.
they beat us. Um, so my very first playoff win that year was against Pioneer Valley, like our rival. We ended up matching up in the first round. And I
Mm-hmm.
just remember like man, like I'm like this it's poetic. Like it was meant to be. My first
Yes.
playoff win is gonna come. And we like played that game with a chip on our shoulder. I think we won like 61 to like 30. Like it was we did not let like I was waiting till that buzzer sounded just to get that. Like once I got the monkey off my back, man,
Yes,
and it
bro.
just felt like, okay, now it's go time. So
Yes.
then we hosted Dinuba in the next round, and they played tough. They were a tough team, but we overcame it. We had girls foul out, and like it was a close game to the very end, and then we pulled it off. And then we played Emmanuel in that semifinal game, and that was just a tough game, man. It
Always
just
tough, bro.
oh man, like
Always tough.
it was a rough experience out there. Like I watched the film back. It was hard to watch, but I watched the film back, and you know, uh, I didn't realize this until I watched it back maybe a year later because it took me that long. Like it was,
Definitely. I feel that.
um, nobody scored for the first 5 to 6 minutes. It was 0-0.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like remember seeing we missed a layup here, we missed a layup here, and we were stopping them. Like our defense, like it was 0-0 to like the last three or 2 minutes of the first. And I was just thinking, like watching that, like I was like, dude, if I would have made an adjustment here, if I would have tried this, and you just start thinking like you could have, because we were actually in that game. We ended up losing by 30, but like things got out of control. Two of my players ended up getting ejected. Um, it just got out of hand in that second half. But we were down, I think, 10 at halftime, and it was because we were missing layups and free. You know what I mean? And
Definitely.
you know, just yeah, man. Like you learn, like if you like to win playoff games is hard.
It's so
And I learned that it's so hard to win a play. Like you need a lot of things to line up. You could have this great season, but once it gets to playoff time, it's a whole new season, man.
everybody's 0-0 at that point,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah. And then some people are dealing with fatigue and injuries at that point of the year. You just need things to line up and you need preparation. And I think preparation is one of the biggest things that I've learned. You need to be prepared for playoffs. You need to have your team ready. You need to have them feeling confident. And if you don't, if the coach ain't ready, players aren't going to be ready. And I
Exactly.
think, I'll be the first to admit, I don't think those first few years I was prepared. I thought I was prepared, but at the time I didn't know,
Yeah.
but now I know, and I'm still learning. There's
But
still things I'm sure,
I
but
commend you too, though, bro. You were 20 years old with your first varsity job.
yeah,
That's not an easy time. As a 20-year-old man, I was not ready for that. I didn't get mine
yeah,
until 30.
yeah,
As a 30-year-old, bro, I tell myself I was not ready for this.
yeah,
I kind of got thrown into it because
yeah,
I wanted the opportunity to go back home. I
yeah,
wanted to be
yeah,
at
of
Foothill,
course.
It's like, damn, I must have take the risk. And it was something that everybody told me, don't do it.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
don't want to be a head coach. And
uh-huh, yeah,
it's hard, but
it,
I'm not. It was the best thing that I ever did though, because I learned so much, and
yeah,
I could teach our staff now, and just being like at Bakersfield College, I'm learning
uh-huh,
more. It's like, but it's organization and structure, and that's what I thrive off of. And
uh-huh, yeah.
it's I commend it, bro, because you're so young taking that challenge. What was one of the who motivated you to take this job, at 20 years old, and what was your thought process, and what can you tell yourself now, or what was the biggest thing you learned now that you wish you could tell yourself back then?
Yeah, no, honestly, one of the biggest motivators that I had to take that job was my head coach, my head coach in high school,
Hmm.
Davey Amati. He actually just retired from coaching. Just want to give a shout out to him. He had a tremendous year last year. They lost to Strathmore, I think by 3 in the semifinals last year. But he had a tremendous career. But he was the boys' coach. He was my coach. He came in when I was a junior, and coached me junior and senior year. And he's just another father figure. You know what I mean? And I remember talking to him. About he gave me an opportunity, like I said, to coach as an assistant on the freshman team right out of high school, and he just saw how passionate I was about it. And I remember talking to him when the opportunity, because I knew that I wasn't ready, but I knew I was gonna give it 110%. I was not gonna go into this feeling scared or that I can't do it. I knew I had a lot to learn. And I could either just, have that mindset, well, I don't know if I could do it and doubt myself, or I could go in and try to learn and just try to give it my all. And I told them that. I told my athletic director at the time when I interviewed, I said, look, I'm going to give this 110%. I'm going to put in time. I'm going to learn as I go, but like I could promise you, I'm going to give it 110%, and my head coach in high school, man, we talk for like 2 to 3 hours sometimes, like even like every season, even now that he's not coaching, I'm still like talking to him on the phone. And that first year there was a lot of basketball therapy after games, and we talk
Definitely,
till
bro.
midnight sometimes. But he's always been there for me. That's really, without him being there, like, because I don't know how it works with you guys. You guys maybe have multiple gyms, but when you are able to have a great relationship with the boys coach as well, it really makes things easier. You guys work hand in hand, like gym time, travel, like, there's so much layers to it, and
Definitely.
just having him there for my entirety that I had been coaching,
Hmm.
it really, really helped me so much. And just, yeah, man, like he really made me believe in myself that I could do it. He knew how passionate I was about the game. He knew I was going to put in the time. Um, yeah, he told me you could do it, and once I heard that, I was like, I could do this, like, yeah,
That, bro.
yeah,
Who are
yeah.
your, when, and I don't know if you had the same assistants every, I know every year changes, but who are your assistants now and your head coaches of your lower levels, and how do they help you take some, that weight of the head coach? There has to be a way we really give the, we delegate those responsibilities. Can you tell us a little about your staff?
Yeah, my JV coach is Coach Mike, and then my freshman coach, I have two coaches, is Coach Gill and then Coach Lights. So let me tell you something, man. Like two last year, um, I had a I brought on a new JV coach, which was Coach Mike now, and then Coach Gill. And man, like I can't even begin to tell you, like bringing them on has completely like help me continue to do this, man. Because, like I said, last year was very hard. I was, going through a lot. They were there pretty much every day. And the
Mhm.
days that I couldn't be there in the off season, because we have to put in work in the off season. We're not,
Sure.
we don't necessarily get the players that have played club ball growing up. We get players that are hungry, that maybe have never played basketball, but they're willing to work hard. And I'm sure you guys see the same
Oh
sometimes
yeah.
at the Hill.
Oh yeah.
Um, so they have been, dude, like I can't even say, like I can't even describe them, man. Like the players absolutely love them. They put in the time. Like I trust them 100%. If I can't be at practice, they got it handled. Like man, and we just work as a team, man, because I've never been a part of a staff where, you know, there's no, cohesiveness amongst the staff, but I've seen other staffs, whether it's at tournament, you
Mhm.
have to be able to, you know, work together. And I tell my staff, I'm like, hey, uh, I have some ideas, but if you ever have anything, like, please, please pitch it out. Like, I will never tell you no. Like, if you want to run practice today, go ahead. I'll sit back and I'll watch, and I'll kind of give my feedback here and there for just kind of help coach the players as an assistant sometimes. I try to also allow my staff in the off season, like in a summer game, I'm like, hey, I want the players to hear a different voice. I'm going to be the assistant today. You coach them. And man, like I can't say enough about the staff that I have right now. Like they are absolute lifesavers. They're great coaches. They're great people. It's so like I would not be able to. continue doing this if it wasn't for them. Like they, especially last year, man, like I told you, like they were when I was going through my teaching stuff and I had to be at mandatory meetings and parent conferences. They were there every single day. They were there in the morning, with the girls hitting the track or the weight room. They were running practices. They were driving the school vans. Sometimes I'd get out of a meeting at like 4 or 5 o'clock and I drive my car over to our game and they already had the girls there. Man, I love my staff and big shout out to them because as you know, it's very important and you never do this alone. And
bro.
you just it's all hands on deck and I'm very blessed with a great staff.
It's
So
just those little things that make it great too, though, bro. Because I get it, like especially the grassroots program. There is no
mhm.
other club team. We are the club.
No, yeah,
We just, I know a couple of the coaches just started their own AAU team, and that helps out so much with
uh-huh.
our new head coach because we can't be there 11 months of the year, you know?
Yeah,
AAU's a tough grind too. Like you
it
could,
is.
it's a grind. That's a whole
Uh-huh.
other season, you know?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
And no, the assistants definitely. Like, I will just, our coaches sent this out from our BC coach. The coach, your assistants make the program,
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
and it's nice to have people you can lean on, and I think that's such like I can relate to that too, bro. Just the littlest things, and I love hearing it, man.
Yeah, yeah, and you always want to give them credit because they deserve it. You know what I mean? It's the glue, man.
We talked, especially a couple since I had the last year. David Jackson was my right hand man. Now he's the head coach over there at BHS. You
Uh-huh.
want your assistants to be head coaches. You got
Yeah, absolutely.
there is no like this is a business, and
Uh-huh.
we
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to. I think that we want them to grow. We want them to have other jobs. Promote. The promotions they're inevitable. That's what you're supposed to do if you're a great program. I think.
Absolutely.
I talk
Yeah.
about, and I tell the coaches that all the time to this day, like, no, bro, because this is a world too. You get demoted or you get promoted, or you get fired.
Yep.
That's
Mm-hmm.
just the way it goes. And
Mm-hmm.
not many people control their own destiny, bro. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you're supposed to do that. You're supposed to train up these younger guys. And I just had a convo with ours. It's just like we are in the business of serving the youth. And I wish we all had
Yep.
one athletes. I wish we all could win Valley
Mm-hmm.
every year. But what are the kids taking away from this program, And
Yeah, that's the
that's the
biggest thing,
biggest
man.
thing, bro. And I think that
Yeah.
as coaches, we need to hear that sometimes. And it doesn't have to always come from the guy, but somebody in your staff has to tell what are we doing this for? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
we need all the kids to play. We need all the
Yeah.
kids to remember. They're not gonna always remember the wins in 10 years.
No. Mm-mm.
They're gonna remember the way they felt when they were in this program and they had somebody who had their back.
Absolutely,
Teammates,
man.
coaches. What's one thing you want your players to take out of your program, Eric? And whether it's in life or if they go to that next level place of college ball, what's one thing you want them to take away from your program?
Well, I always want them to understand that when they're in the program and they're still high school kids, I want them to understand, hey, enjoy this because once you become an adult, like I hate to say it, but life gets hard
Oh yeah.
sometimes, like life is hard and sometimes as a high school student, you don't understand that. You don't see that all the time. You know what I mean? Um, so I want them to be prepared to go into, the adult life and just prepared for all the adversity that might come with it, and there's no better feeling than when I get a text or a call from a former player just checking in because that really, you know, tells me that, I made an impact in their life. And I always want my players to know, and I'm sure you tell them the same, is that I will always be here as long as you need help with anything. It doesn't have to be about basketball. I've always got your back. You're part of the program, you're part of the family. Um, but yeah, I try to tell my girls, like I have a few girls right now that, they have jobs
Mhm.
and they're like seniors, and they have jobs and I don't discourage them from working because I totally understand. Like I had a job when I was in high school that I remember I quit my job because I didn't get the days off to go play in my UCSB tournament. You know what I mean? So I,
Sure.
I tell the girls, I'm like, hey, look, if you could take, I'm not telling you, you got to quit your job. I would never do that, but just understand, like, you're gonna work for the majority of the rest of your life. You only get this experience to travel with your teammates, to play the game of basketball that you've worked so hard your whole life.
Mhm.
I just really like to put that in perspective for them. Like, if you don't have to work, or if you could get these days off and you don't have to miss any like games, especially like
Hmm.
please, like, trust me, like you're gonna look back at this. If you miss some of these games and these experiences that you have with your team, you're gonna look back when you're an adult and you're working almost every day. You're gonna be like, oh man, I wish I would have, you know.
Yep.
So, I want my players to enjoy themselves. Like I don't want them to, like basketball shouldn't be it should be fun, you know what I mean? And I know like sometimes you have a little stress because you're worried about the game. You really want to win. You're feeling a little nervous. But basketball should be fun. Anything in high school, your whole high school experience should be fun. And I really tell my girls like enjoy this because once you become an adult, there's adversity that comes with it. Like, and I tell them, I open up, I said, hey, I go through stuff every day. And,
We
sometimes
here.
like, you know what I mean? Like, so just enjoy the moment, live in the moment as a student athlete in high school because it's a totally different game. If you go off and play college, like totally different. You know what I mean? Like you're playing to try to go move on to the next level. You know what I mean? It's totally different than what you're trying to do in high school necessarily. Like, yes, you're trying to get to the next level, you're trying to get a scholarship, trying to go play, maybe walk on. But in high school, like it really comes down to you want to build that bond, you want to build those memories, you want to win whether that's a CAF title or a league title, whatever that is, once you get to college, in my opinion, like, it's like a full-time job basically. Like, you have to be a
There, I,
full-time athlete.
I learned that there's less excuses and more expectations. And if
Yeah.
you don't meet those,
Yep, it's not for everyone,
we have
like
somebody else who could fill your shoes, and
yep.
it's a business too at the end of the day.
Absolutely, man.
I think
Yeah.
that's, and I tell our girls and boys that too, just being on campus, it's like, and if you stop doing this because you're having a rough day or a rough week, or you don't want to, like, you're gonna give up on everything you ever had adversity in your
Hmm.
adult life. Because, like you said, the ones who make it are the ones who go through their adversity and they bounce back from it.
Yep. Hmm.
I'm a firm believer in that, man. Just a product of it myself. Like if I would have gave up every time I hit a block or a brick wall, it's like
Yeah.
I would never
Mhm.
be where I'm at. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
No, I
For
love it,
sure.
Coach. So you opened your season. Let's see what I say about this. Hold on, let me get my notes back up here. We opened on the
19th.
19th. So
Next Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken,
yeah,
I
man,
believe.
next Wednesday,
Yeah.
bro.
And then we
Um,
actually on the schedule this year, that's another thing that you're talking about playoffs is the year we had the most success and we made that run, we played a lot of Valley teams. We went down to Arvin,
mhm,
and I think that sometimes like not having enough Valley schools on our schedule, it hurts us because the Valley plays a totally different game. Like
yeah.
it's a very physical, it's a very fast paced. It's totally different. And it's hard to explain, but like you notice the difference from playing, here in the Central Coast
Mhm.
than when you go out to the valley. You know what I mean? So this year we actually play quite a few valley teams, which I'm excited. We're going down to Farmersville for a tournament. We're playing Chowchilla, we're playing McLean, we're playing East Bakersfield actually on
Seen that?
Friday night.
I've seen that.
So that should be a good one. Coach Ricardo, he always has them well coached, and he's a great guy. He came down to our tournament a few years ago, and I got to meet him. So
Mhm.
I know they're going to be prepared.
Definitely.
But I really wanted to book a lot of non-leagues against Valley schools because if you see them in the regular season, then you're able to be prepared if you see them again in the playoffs or just a
Yeah,
style, you know what it's going to be like. So
for
yeah,
sure.
I'm excited, man, for our schedule this year. Like it should be a good one.
Hopefully next year, man, we get into that tournament you're having too. I know you have an
Yeah,
annual tournament there. I
you
would
know,
love
I
to get a
I
schedule for that.
I usually do like I usually do a 3-day tournament to start the season. We've done it the last I think 5 years, but this year I said, you know what, I'm gonna just do a 1-day comp, make it a 1-day thing. And but I might go back to the full 3-day format next year. Just wanted to take a little break and do just a host a 1-day thing, small little thing. But if you guys ever like, have anything or any tournaments, I know you guys co-host with Arvin still, right?
Yes, sir.
I would love to go back to, like I know Mario's always on me like, "Hey coach, we love to have you." He does a
Yeah,
great job of
he does.
promoting it.
Awesome.
And we had a blast at Arvin. We went one time and it was a very well-run tournament. Like we won the consolation championship. Um,
Remember
but
that.
man, like it's a great tournament. We just like we were actually going to go back this year, but then there was a conflict. I already booked the tournament the same time, but maybe next year we'll be back out there and maybe reconnect out there or who knows, man, maybe in the playoffs, like, because, I know Foothill, is we're very similar on our base divisions, so we could end
Exactly
up,
why I think we should schedule each other for soon.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I will definitely. I know you like. Maybe I'm thinking about that East High game. I'll try to definitely catch some games, man. I want to show my support as much as I can. I got a little more freedom to do that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But let's definitely link up, coach. And I hope your first pod experience was a great one, bro. 'Cause
So,
we
man, I
got, we're
loved
almost
it,
at
man.
we're almost at an hour, man. I know we could talk another hour, but I
Yeah,
really, hey, man. But I appreciate. I know like we have so many things in common, just as coaches, young coaches in this game. And good luck this season, brother. And if you need anything, just let me know, man.
yeah. Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
No problem, man. That was
All right,
episode one. That's episode 182 of Keep Grinding the podcast with Erik Ramos, head varsity coach at San Maria High School, the Saints. Coach, we'll see you next time, man. Appreciate
all
you.
right. You have a good night.
You too, my guy. And we out.